we hit different audiences and different niches, and we tested 100 different pages and actually put marketing behind 100 different pages.
Wow.
And then we found two or three of them that just went crazy. Like their numbers were off the charts, the conversion rates were off the charts, the engagement was off the charts. And so we turned off 97 Facebook pages and we put all of our effort into three Facebook pages, right? Um, and we got to a point where half of all of the Facebook users in Brazil were following us, and we built a Brazilian travel social network, and we became the fastest growing airline in aviation history. And it came down to being willing to create 100 Facebook pages.
Welcome to Sharpen the Spear podcast, where we help manufacturing executives command the front and win the floor. I'm Richard Walsh, creator of the Sharpened Impact methodology, and I spent decades helping leaders transform frontline teams, unlock hidden profit, and capture capacity they didn't even know they had. If you want to see where your leadership gaps are costing you and how to fix them, head over to grittolead.com and run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator today. Let's sharpen your edge and get started. And we are back on STS, Sharpen the Spear podcast, with another incredible guest. I've got Nathan Gwilliam with us today. And Nathan, nobody knows Nathan better than Nathan. So Nathan, I need the backstory. Bring us up to speed and we'll get into the conversation.
Certainly. Thanks for having me on the show today, Richard.
Bet.
So I am a serial entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was in college. In the computer lab on the third floor of the Marriott School at BYU in Utah. And I started a business, my first one, called adoption.com. Grew that to be the world's most used adoption platform. Sold that back in 2019. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've built and sold 3 digital ventures. I also have helped a variety of other companies build and create ventures. For example, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I helped them build a network of family-focused websites, and we grew that to more than 280 million monthly uniques, more than 130 million social follows, more than 40 million comments, likes, and shares. That's what I do. I build digital, I create, grow, and monetize digital platforms. And about 6 years ago, I started creating a platform for creating platforms. And we launched it. It's called PodUp, and it has 60 different integrated tools within this platform. It's primarily focused, or we lead with podcasting. So you record a video episode, and you can repurpose that content into 8 to 12 different kinds of content. You can syndicate it out to maybe 20 different platforms. Then there's a lot of tools to help you grow that audience, to help you monetize that audience. You can do courses, you can do memberships, or you will be able to do memberships very soon, e-commerce, coaching, all sorts of different ways you can kind of create a content engine and then grow your reach and then make money from that reach. So that's what I'm focusing on now.
Oh, that's great. That's great. It's probably a good place to be in the podcast realm because most people don't get past 3 episodes.
Yeah.
When they launch their podcast. I found out from another guest. He goes, "Well, it takes to be in the top 1% of podcasts." I go, "Do tell." And he goes, "You know how many episodes?" And I go, "No." He goes, 21. And I go, "Wow, I'm crushing it. I've got 300. I'm crushing it. I'm in the high top 1%. But yeah, I've noticed uniquely when people do start, it's, the old saying, there's many starters, very few finishers. I don't know if they just lose steam in 3 episodes. I don't know how that's possible, or they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Right. Like they really don't know. Well, this sounded like a good idea. I started talking into the microphone, if they have one. Okay. Doing their thing. And then they don't have any direction. That's been kind of an issue. Is that what you're kind of trying to help people with?
Yeah. So when I started my first podcast, I had been working with a mentor named Russell Brunson, and he made me a promise that if I would publish every day for a year, I'd be financially free. And so I trusted him, and I started a show, and I published every day for a year. It was audio and video and social and blog and all of that. And I got to about 3 months into it, And I realized that I did more than 30 different technologies. And I realized that those tech, because I was trying to create a venture out of it, not just publish a basic podcast. And I realized that those technologies cost almost $2,000 a month and that they weren't integrated hardly at all together. And they just took way too much time. Like even after I had recorded and edited my podcast, I still had to pay someone 4 hours a day to do everything else for me. And and so one day in frustration, I was sitting there with one of my coworkers and I just said, okay, somebody's got to create the all-in-one podcasting platform. Kind of like Shopify brought all of the tools together, 100 different technologies, so you could create a venture around e-commerce. Someone needed to do that around podcasting. And that was my aha moment. And we've been working the last 6 years. We put almost $6 million into it. And we brought together 60 different tools. There's 18 different AI tools. There's 11 different monetization tools. And they're all together in one platform, one username and password, one low price, make it easy to create a venture around podcasting. And that's why people give up, is because they try to bring together all the different technologies, takes way too much time, takes way too much effort. They're not making any money off of it. They don't have time to grow it. And so that's what this was created to solve, to bring it all together in one. So, I bet I spend 20% the effort that I did when I started compared to when I started that first show. It just takes so much less time and so much easier to grow and monetize.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that is the big. Everyone, they'll it's like a lot of things, right? They see a couple big hitters, Sean Ryan's, Joe Rogan, so like that. I'm gonna do that. Like, well, okay. And I don't care if they just want to do it. It starts out as a hobby, but even the hobby becomes like, well, where's this going? What am I doing? I don't
Yeah.
have, like you said, the tools are where it's at. I did my first one. I did my very first one like 2013, but 2020, 2019, 2020, 2019, I started one. Did about 115 episodes. It was great. Like doing interviews, really simple, nothing fancy. I had Buzzsprout, and I just uploaded. And I didn't get into all the like stuff you could do, because it really wasn't available even then,
Yeah.
right? You didn't have a lot of things. I've seen the evolution of it to now, whether it's Riverside or whatever you've got, right? I've used all these different things, but I love what you've done by consolidating all this stuff into one place, because it
Yeah.
increases the probability of success, which I always love for any business owner. Anyone who wants to get into something, you have to be able to increase the probability of success in every way possible.
That's right. And tools like Riverside are amazing. I love Riverside and I
Yep,
I still use it sometimes. And but the problem is Riverside has maybe three or four of the tools.
exactly.
And so if you use Riverside, you probably need 15 other tools to get the job done. And you're trying to duct tape them all together, and having them all in one place makes such a difference. Can you imagine Shopify if it only had like three or four of the tools, right? Shopify is only worth whatever it is, $190 billion, because it's all together in one place.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, you're right. Because when you go from like Zoom to like Riverside, you think this is amazing. This is the greatest thing ever, right? Because it's so uniquely different at that level. And then you want to go the next. Now you're looking at what you've done because you're way ahead of the curve and you've been doing it for 6 years, right? So I love it because like someone had to think bigger. Okay. I by my own separate
No one
venture.
else has been stupid enough to do this
That
but us.
that's it. That's exactly that's what I say about mine. It's been over 4,000 hours in a year, and I'm putting all this stuff together. I'm like, but no one would do this. I remember, in
Yeah.
fact, I had a guy on my pie. He goes, "You should share what you're doing." Well, I don't. He goes, "No one's going to do it. Trust me. No one's going to put in that kind of time. And no one's going to copy it because they're never going to go through what you have." And it's true,
Yeah.
right? It's really that journey of bringing that literally that initial iteration, like what are we going to do? I want to solve this issue. And then I think it's a great lesson for everyone listening. 6 years. Okay, 6 years down the road, and like where you at? Where would you say from 6 years ago to today? How would you kind of, you don't have to describe the entire journey, but like from an establishment standpoint?
Yeah. So we have about 45 team members right now, and we've hit our first cash flow positive month.
Woo!
And yeah, January, this month should be another, if it's not cash flow positive, it should be dang close. And so, I mean, we're not making tons of money yet, but I mean, that's not bad actually to be
Right.
to be at about break even for a project of this magnitude and for all that we've had to put into it.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. But it's, I don't think, I think we talk about this often in business development or whatever you're doing, your startup to, you've been in 3 years or whatever. The great saying, we always overestimate what we can accomplish in a year,
Yeah.
and underestimate what we can do in 5 years, right? So I've given the whole year thing up. Okay, I have no expectations in a year. I've worked very hard this last year creating this new thing, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to start now. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm already a year in, and I had to do all that just to begin. So
So tell me what you've been doing. What's this new project?
so we do. I've created an on-site diagnostic for the manufacturing industry. Not just that, but we install command. So it's called, command the front, win the floor. Right. So if you want to call it frontline leadership mastery, okay, though I don't call it training, we begin with proper recovery. So we're able to go in is really simple. So we go in on site. I have a diagnostic on the iPad I've created. I interview 10 people, 5 to 10 people, supervisors, plant managers, ops guys. That all goes in. I have an anchor off of that. It creates the disparities in the answers, right? It's a 1 through 5 kind of question thing. And then it attaches ROI to all that. So by changing these leadership gaps, even by 10%, it shows the ROI you recover in 90 days, 12 months, 3 years, and 5 years in the business, right? So, but here's the beauty. I can do that interview on the floor live, right? Tapping the radio buttons, getting them all in. There's actually 52 questions that you get asked, about 20 minutes per person. Go through that. I can go right from there. I sync it. I walk into the boardroom. Slides are all populated. It's exactly what's going on their floor right on that moment. And I can show them everything that happens. Here's the ROI. Here's what it is. It's really cool.
Yeah, it sounds really valuable too.
I've even created what's called the command year coefficient. And that's as these people get certified in what I do and the ongoing, because I have 20 years worth of stuff. I've really built it out with challenge coins and the whole thing. But now you have years of command in your plants. So if you have 50 guys who have been through it, and that was 10 years, okay, that's 500 years of command that's been installed. Everyone's speaking the same language, right? The command language. Think about what that does for a business valuation. That can add millions. It can become like the FICO score for leadership.
Yeah.
Right. So eventually I see it being, hey, you need a 5.0 or better. And I track everything. So all that's in my intelligence system. Everything that every commander, I call them commanders, do and achieve is all recorded in my system for years. And I own all that. So it's pretty cool. So I think long term.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. That
you.
Sounds like a great venture.
Yes, it's been insanity building it, as you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Fun. Yeah. So that's fun. So what do you like? So you're starting to get cash flow positive here. You're in year 6 going away. You in year 6 or 7? You heading into 7 now?
Yeah. Yes, we're starting 7.
Right. Good. So 26 is your 27th year, your 7th year. That's awesome. So what do you see going forward? Can we do that? Can we just kind of, I'd love to get your forecast. You've got 6 years invested in this. You're starting to see the turn, which is good.
Yeah. So we spent maybe 4 years working on this before we could even start selling it at all, right? A project like this only works when you have a lot of development done. And we are finally at a spot where we're through MVP and we have real customers paying. And we haven't been doing that very long. And the first maybe year and a half we were doing it, we went to market and something interesting happened. We found we'd created something for a market we had not expected. We thought we had created something for podcasters, but what we'd really created was business class podcasting. And we started having a whole bunch of CEOs that came to us and we're saying, okay, I know I need a podcast. I know my business has to have a podcast. I just don't have time. Can I just pay you and you use your software and you do it for me, right? We were just having all these people because we had something very different. We're very uniquely positioned in this space. And so we opened an office in Jaipur, India, and we have 40 team members there. And we have editors and writers and marketers and QA testers and designers and developers. And so the CEO can actually record a podcast and we do everything else. We book the guests, we edit the videos, we, do the blog post, we publish, we syndicate, we market it, we help them with their monetization, kind of a done for you solution. And that's how we got profitable so quickly, was this software enabled services model. And so it felt like kind of cheating that kind of just came to us. Like we weren't even looking for that market, and it just came to us. And so then the board came to me and said, okay, you got to get the DIY software out there. Like it's good to have the services, but we'll never be $1 billion company if we're doing services. So you've got to get the software out. And so Black Friday, so about a month ago, a little over a month ago, we rolled out our first real promotion for our DIY software. We'd been working really hard to get this DIY software out there, and we had a lot of questions to answer. Could we sell it? Would people really buy it? Could we acquire customers for a price that we could afford as a company, and we found out that we can acquire customers for actually a really good price. And so now it's like you solve one problem and you figure it out, and then you go to the next one and you figure it out. So it feels like that in November and December, what we solved is, can we sell it and can we acquire customers for a good price? And the answer to both those questions was yes. Like exceeded our expectations, and we're very grateful. God gets all the credit, but he helped us answer those two questions.
That's
So
awesome.
now we've got to get people from a free trial to a paid subscription. So now over the next 3 or 4 months, our whole business almost is focused on that one metric. So from that Black Friday deal, I think we've converted like 25% of the free trials have converted to paid subscriptions so far.
Nice.
And so that's okay. It's good, but we want to be at about 50%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you can acquire customers for $150, and let's say free trial customers, and let's say that half of them convert to paying. So that means you paid about $300 per customer. And let's say each of those customers is worth $3,000 over their lifetime. So if you can acquire customers for $300 that are worth $3,000, like you've got a $1 billion company right there, right? If you had a money machine and you could put $1 in and you could get $10 out for every dollar you put in, like how much money would you put in that machine?
Every day, all day.
Yeah, everything. And so that's where we're kind of at. But so right now it's like, if for years we were in the get the software built, get it launched mode. Now we're in the like optimize the marketing metrics mode, right? What is our cost per acquisition? What is our churn rate? What is our free trial to paid subscription conversion rate? So it's all about optimizing our funnels and our advertising and our flows and our onboarding and getting that system perfected so that the numbers become a money machine. So that's what's driving us. That's what this year is all about.
Yeah,
Building
that's
the
great.
money machine.
Yeah, I love subscription models. They're awesome. I mean, everyone's doing it. The car wash has got one. Everyone's got a subscription model, and I like the car wash one a lot. But, I look at this and I love the evolution aspect. The found customers, the done for you, right? The DFY done for you, which I love, because I can totally see that working, because no one wants to.
It's a fast way to get to profitability, get to cash flow, right?
That's it. Now, I totally get where you're coming from, though. Like, I get it, but there's a ceiling.
Yeah, that's
You're
right.
going to top out the client.
There's only so many hours in a day to do that.
And only so many people who are going to do that. When you have 6 million podcasters, okay, who were like, again, not many are getting past 3. I think because they're limited, but you're bringing something to the market where now you can access. I love the free trial thing. That's always an awesome foot in the door. Anytime people can do that, and then the conversion aspect. So was the marketing, and I know you're still figuring this out too, but as you're trying to do the client acquisition, is this a struggle? Okay, because marketing is kind of a nightmare in my life. Okay. Like I've always found like I know I'm going to air quote a lot about marketing, but I never seem to pick the right thing or the right people.
So I'll tell you the answer for that. This is the secret. The secret is iteration. The secret is a whole bunch of trial and error. I'll give you a story from my past. So um, David Neeleman, if you know him, he started 5 airlines. He's done like he did JetBlue.
Right.
He did Azul, which is a Brazilian airline. He's hired me to do a couple of his ventures, helped with him, and so I helped him do Azul, and a Brazilian airline.
Mhm.
And so when we built his Facebook strategy, we didn't just build a Facebook page for him. We actually built 100 Facebook pages for him, and we
Wow.
hit different audiences and different niches, and we tested 100 different pages and actually put marketing behind 100 different pages.
Wow.
And then we found two or three of them that just went crazy. Like their numbers were off the charts, the conversion rates were off the charts, the engagement was off the charts. And so we turned off 97 Facebook pages and we put all of our effort into 3 Facebook pages, right? Um, and we got to a point where half of all of the Facebook users in Brazil were following us, and we built a Brazilian travel social network, and we became the fastest growing airline in aviation history. And it came down to being willing to create 100 Facebook pages. Like, how many
Right.
businesses are willing to create 100 Facebook pages? When we did our ads and we launched for Black Friday, we actually did about 1,000 different campaigns, like literally 1,000. We did different platforms, we did different audiences, we did different campaigns within the audiences and the platforms. We tried different formats, audio and video, and then we actually found who our audience is. We found out which audiences convert the best. We found out which platform converts the best. We found out which ads, which formats convert the best. And then we turned off 95% of all the ads and we focused on what worked. And there were platforms that saw zero conversion. And then there were other platforms that killed it. And if I had just done one platform and I'd done one ad, and I probably would have failed,
Yeah.
right? The only reason we succeeded and we found it was because we tried 1,000 different ads. And so that's the secret is just being willing to try and test and then turn off the ones that didn't work and don't look at that as a failure. That's just
Right.
part of the process of succeeding.
Yeah. That's amazing. Wow. That's, I feel overwhelmed.
Yeah,
Just
it
the
was a
thought of doing
lot of
that.
work.
Holy cow,
It
man.
was weeks and weeks and weeks of work.
Oh, it sounds more than that. Man, that's a commitment. That is a
But
commitment,
but
but
that's what
man,
it takes.
I'm with you. I mean, again, that kind of reach out of 3 sites, out of 100. I mean, it's fantastic. I think how long was the run before you decided that you got 3 top performers when you first launched all 100 in general?
The
Was it a month,
Facebook, the
six
Facebook
months?
pages.
Yeah,
You're talking about the Facebook
yeah,
pages.
yeah.
Um, we make those decisions pretty quick. So I bet we ran it less than 2 weeks or
Oh,
3 weeks
wow.
maximum before we had turned off 97.
Wow. Oh, that work, man. That's actually, but that's pretty awesome. If you could
So
do that in that time frame,
yeah.
narrow it down to 3 top performers, that is pretty spectacular.
So a lot the problem is people have this sunk cost fallacy where they think, oh, I put all of the time and money into this. I can't turn this off. I built 97 Facebook pages, right?
Right.
Let's just, or 100 Facebook pages. Let's just keep them going, right? They've got some value. And it's not just about creating 100 Facebook pages. It's about being willing to turn off 97 Facebook pages. It's not just about creating 1,000 ads. It's about being willing to turn off 980 ads once you
Right.
find the 20 that are working the best.
Right. Right. Well, the other thing with that too is if you keep all 100, you're actually diluting your brand.
Exactly right. And you're diluting your effort and you're
Yep.
diluting your ads and you have to be willing to turn them off and focus.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can that's amazing. It was a few weeks and you can make that decision. That's awesome. I mean, that's actually, hindsight's a wonderful thing. You look at that, and go, I'm not on the front end of saying let's do 100 pages, but when you're on this side, you're like, that was pretty smart, and that was fast.
And you know something that almost every CEO I work with, they think they know what's going to work. They think they know which audience is going to do the best. They think they know which ad is
Yeah.
going to do the best. And when you do this testing, I can tell you almost 100% of the time, the CEO is wrong. And
Yeah.
you only are going to figure out which one's going to work by doing this testing.
Yeah. I'm with you. I am always wrong. What I
I'm
realized
almost
though,
always wrong too.
okay,
Yeah.
Nathan, what I realized was I'm so odd. I can't do things for the masses. Like I can't think like them. I don't know what, I don't know how to market to them. I'm just like, I think so. I'm a hardcore contrarian. So I don't really, so I got all kinds of marketing issues. That's why I don't do it. You don't want to ask me. I mean, I'll get you 3 customers, but I'm not going to get you 30,000. Okay. Well, that's not going to happen. So,
Well,
I've learned my limits.
the lesson there is we have to let our ideal customer tell us. It can't be
Right.
us. Like when I was running adoption.com, our ideal customer was, were women that were in their, late 30s, early 40s, and that wasn't me. And so I couldn't make those decisions. I
That's right.
had to let the ideal customer tell us.
Yeah. That's a great takeaway because I'll help startups. I don't do a lot with startups anymore. But it's those initial things, and they try to define who their ideal customer is. So here's my ICP. I've got that. You're like, okay, that now you have to market to them. Like now you're taking that, you're trying to find them. But I think what happens is, and you would probably, you know, add to this, but sometimes you see a shift, like you actually were wrong in who your ideal customer is.
Yeah,
Do you know
that's
what I
right.
mean? You're like going out
Like
there and
we
all of a
were,
sudden,
right? We thought it
right,
was podcasters, and then it was actually CEOs.
right, right. And I think, you know, you have to be prepared for those kind of pivots in these developmental initial launch stages, right?
Mhm.
You have to be super open minded because I can get just laser focused. You're on one thing, and that's a lot of times when you have a good team, they can bring these other viewpoints. They know we need to do it this way. Like you said, convince them to do 100 pages to get the 3. You have to be open to that kind of stuff because you don't know. I always tell people, no battle plan ever survives the first shot.
Yeah.
It sounds good on paper till we
Or
roll up
like
on the
Mike
beach.
Tyson says,
Get hit in the
every good,
face.
yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
Yes. I'm a boxer and you don't want to be, things change when I hit you in the face. I assure you. But yeah, so I really, such good lessons here as far as just there's an agility you need in development. You know what I mean? When you're starting on this, we all have this idea, like I did one, like my thing I told you about, the iterations were key. Every time
Yeah,
it broke, which was a lot, and I had to spend another 50 hours fixing this, it
yeah,
got better and better and better because it exposed other issues. Then 12 months later, I have a solid thing I roll
that's
out
right.
that's scalable and everything else that you did in the beginning. I could have taken the easy route, had something that was workable, but I could have never grown it. And I didn't realize that
And
until I kept breaking it.
and it is so painful to put users in when you know it's not perfect and you know it's going to break. But that's the only way you're going to get it great is if you can get real people in and see how they use it, and then what breaks and what doesn't work, then you go fix that. You'll
Yeah,
never get that feedback if you don't put
right.
real people in.
We call you got to pressure test it. You
Yeah.
just have to. We got to run it. We got to run it. We got to do it. We got to get the feedback. We got to fail, fix it, do it again. And that's what I kept doing. Same thing. I'm like, the frustration was unbelievable. But eventually you're in so far, there's no not finishing.
Yeah.
You're
That's
so
right.
you're so invested with time and energy, all this stuff. It's like, well, I have no choice now. I'm going all the way to the end, which is a good thing.
And yeah, that's right. Most of the great entrepreneurs, they do not look at failure as an option. They will do
Right.
what it takes to get it to work.
Yeah. Yeah. And that can be good and it can be bad. You, if you're all by yourself, you're probably going to be fine. If there's other people in your life, things can get, it can get hairy. That's all I can say. But
Yeah.
but it's worth it. I got to tell you, for the ones who can persevere like you have, like what I'm doing. I mean, it's really it's we're unique. Okay, and I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying when I look at everybody, and I work with a lot of business owners, and they all have this anticipation that people that work for them are like them, and they're going to do things the way they do it. And I'm like, you can't possibly be thinking that. I said, they're not. You have to, it's not a lower your expectation. It's like, you just have to be realistic. Not everybody's you. Not everyone wants to run a business on it. Everyone wants to develop something like you have, or like what I'm doing. Like that's not them. So you got to manage that expectation and build lanes that they can succeed in on your team. But don't think they're going to do it like you do it, or ever going to do it.
They'll
like
never
you do
care as much as you're going to
That's
care.
right.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. That's why I did some partnerships early on in my entrepreneurial career. And I like that saying I heard a few years ago: the only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership. Because everyone I had this, they would not work as hard, or they didn't do this, didn't do that. So you had to learn a lot of there's nothing wrong with partnerships if each are bringing a unique skill set to the team, but they have to be very, very unique. If you're kind of sharing responsibility, that's going to be ugly, because they're just not going to do what you do usually, that's what I found.
Absolutely.
But wow, that's really something. So let's talk a little bit more on the podcast industry itself. Okay. So as you dove into this and you saw this niche, this need, and you started building it, were you getting into the analytics of podcasters? Again, the amount of average episodes, what they're doing, who's doing what. Did you really look at that and go, well, why are people failing? Or was it,
We did.
I want to make, was that kind of the impetus?
We did. And there were a lot of naysayers that said we wouldn't be successful because there were podcasters that stopped after. I hear some people say 8 episodes. Some hear people say 3 episodes, whatever that number is. It's
low.
There's a drop off. Yeah. But as we looked into it, we saw that was actually an opportunity for us. They were quitting, not because they didn't want to do it, because they made the decision to do it. They did want to do it. It just reached a spot where it wasn't worth it. It was too much effort for the value. And so we actually saw that as a tremendous validation for what we were doing. Somebody needed to come in and create the all-in-one platform to make it simpler. Someone needed to come in and give them the tools to actually grow it and make money from it, so they would know how to be successful. They didn't have to go get 30 different tools.
Yeah, I think that's the power of vision, right? You have to see past. I mean, everyone's going to say something's not going to work or whatever, but when now in your situation, you've had experience in the digital realm, right? You had done a lot of things already and things like that. So seeing this is one thing, having the capability, to be able to even launch into this, that's a whole nother animal, right? So did you feel you saw the need, but was there a different level of confidence for you because of successes you've had previous? Were you taking that with you, like one way or another, this will work, or would that look like?
Yeah, that's right. Because I've built and sold 3 other ventures. Right. I've worked with India teams for 20 years, and I've built software products, and I've built platforms, and I've done the marketing. So yes, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to do venture number 4 than it is venture number 1. And because I built and sold ventures, I had capital that I could put into this one. And I was able to run it for a while before I had to go raise money. And then when I did raise money, I had a track record. And so people trusted me more. So it was easier to raise money. So realize that if you're on your first venture, that's the hardest one, right? Go have a success from that one, and then go do the next one. And it's going to be a lot easier to do number 2, probably.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's just, I like what I'm doing, like it's kind of describing, like, I don't have a clue on code and everything. Like what I built, it's going to take twice as long, but it's been fascinating, and I have a real high appreciation for coders.
Yeah.
People do stuff like really, because I've over 10,000 lines just in the one thing, of code. For me, that's a lot. I had one of my son's friends came over and he asked what I'm doing. I'm telling him, he goes, well, I'm doing some coding too. I'm doing an investment thing or something like that. I go, yeah, well, what's it look like? I got like 40 lines. I go, 40. He bumped it up from 20. I went, well, I've got over 10,000. He goes, oh, he goes, so and I'm still working on it. It only gets worse the more you get. Okay. It only gets more difficult. So, but yeah, but it's been an incredible challenge for me. But again, the upside, I'm like you. I saw this. I saw a niche. I saw a lack, right? A void that needs to be filled. And I end up turning into an entire movement. So it's really I mean, it's industry wide, right? So that excited me. And that's the only way I think I could go through and keep doing this. Cause it's like daily failure.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I mean, literally like one thing would break and it'd be 50 hours. Now,
Yeah.
I'm a nut job, so I do those 50 hours in like 2.5 days.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't,
My team's mostly in India, and so I start my days like mostly at 6 a.m. and go till
right.
6 p.m. or 7
Yep.
p.m. And
Yep.
I get it. It's
Yeah.
the entrepreneurial grind.
But I don't know. I mean, I never got burned. I'm like, I just kept going. I mean, I don't know what it's, I think sometimes you get onto something that you see where it, like you understand the outcome so well, so clear, like you will push through all this stuff. That doesn't always happen because I've had ideas, iteration, things like that, and you kind of get going, but you never. I just did all the really hard work. A lot of people can't get through that. Even a lot of times I couldn't. I've had 3 businesses, and this is my fourth. But it's same thing though. It's like to go all the way through to
Yeah.
finish that and get to that point now where you can start turning it out is very rewarding.
Yeah. What you're talking about is a concept called self-efficacy. And if you do not have self-efficacy, you probably cannot be an entrepreneur. That's probably the most important trait. And it's that skill that you can do hard things. You can
Yeah.
figure out those hard situations. There's a lot of people that think suicide is a direct result of depression or something like that. And there is correlation there, but there's a lot more correlation between self-efficacy and suicide than there is between depression and suicide. If we want to help our kids not commit suicide and stick around, one of the best things we can do for them is help teach them they can do hard things. That when
Yeah,
hard,
man.
challenging things come along, they can get through it.
Yeah, man, you're speaking my language. Okay. That's what I'm all about. I've trained all my kids, in suffering, doing hard things. I mean, it's just, in the good way. I'm not, like here, you don't get to eat for 3 days. I'm just saying like all our
But that's a
training.
gift
Yeah,
for life. Yeah.
it is. And my son who's in the Marine Corps now, I trained him cross country and track, went to Junior Olympics. Then he wanted to box, taught him how to box, right? Did really well in that. Then went to the Marine Corps. Now he's, excelling in there. And we did a podcast together as guests and they interviewed him. And it was cool to hear the way he thought of discipline and life and suffering and why it's so important. I'm like, okay, I did okay.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
right. And
he embraced it, you know.
And you know that when you're not around, he's going to do well
That's
because
right.
whatever he faces, he's going to figure a way to get through it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, do you ever read, you've probably read Grit, Angela Duckworth, that book?
I have not read that one. Tell me
It's,
about it.
it's worth a read. She's a
Okay.
researcher. It's about 300 pages. Does this whole thing on West Point and then beyond all the greats
Okay.
who achieve. She says, is it physical prowess? Is it intelligence? Is it, all this stuff, right? Family positioning, whatever it is, right? It all comes down to grit. She said every one of them would change that. It's not like West Point she used. Here's the top athletes, the top scholars, the ones who always graduate are the roughest, the ones who have grit, who can persevere, who can suffer, can do the hard things all the way through. You know, I often use it like athletes. There's a great saying from what's his name? Vince Lombardi, I think. So Green Bay coach, right? So
Yep.
people are talking about people's vertical and their jump and their 40 speed and all this stuff. He goes, I don't care about that. What can they do in Green Bay in February? He's
Yeah,
like,
that's
what can
right.
they do on the field? Then that's who I want on my team, not the guy who can just run the fast. So they got to have that. So what she discovered was that, and then kind of traced all these great achievers, and that was the commonality. Then she created the grit score. so you could take a test and get a grit score. Like,
I
where's your
love it.
grit? Guess where I landed? I was
Way
ni-
off the chart.
I was 97% on the grit score. So
Yeah,
I got it going on. But
does
and it's
not
true
surprise
because
me.
I just equate it to being thick. I think I'm just too dumb to quit. It's the Marine Corps
Well,
attitude. I've got the same thing because I was a Marine. It's just, that's what it
that's
is.
why every college football coach wants the Idaho Farm Boys to come be on their
That's
team,
right.
right?
That's
They
right.
know how to work hard.
That's
They
right.
know how to do the hard stuff.
Yeah. And it's doing hard things to me. I mean, to this day, okay, I'm 60, right? And I'm training hard every day. I'm doing my stuff right. I love it. I love to like kill myself in the gym, like be done, in 45 minutes. No one's keeping up with me. I don't care how old they are. so I like that challenge. I like the feeling of it. And then it sets me for my day. And I get in the same thing with work, just keep persevering through that stuff. And I didn't realize this stuff for a really long time, Nathan. You know what I mean? I didn't have that, like, yeah, that's who I am. That's what I do. I just did it. You know what I mean? It just seemed like the natural thing that people do. And I think with entrepreneurs, that's why they get confused about people who work for them and think they're going to do what they do. They really haven't thought of their uniqueness in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's really, really, really a fascinating concept overall. But from the entrepreneurial standpoint, they say, I think Harvard did a huge study. It really is self-awareness is the number one trait of entrepreneurs. They have this, of top leaders, I guess, and then entrepreneurs is self-awareness. Do you find that working with other people?
So you're talking about realizing what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, what you
Yeah,
really are good at and where you need
right.
help.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that's one of their key factors. I mean, again, that's a Harvard study, so that could be
And
another one.
so, self-awareness goes both ways, right? It's realizing what we're not good at so that we need help, but it's also having the confidence. Like that's one of my biggest mistakes early on in my entrepreneurial career. I didn't believe in myself enough. And and believing that you don't need to bring someone else in to do something sometimes, that you can do it just as well as they can. Um, I think that's just as important in that equation.
Yeah, that's a good point because it's interesting as we develop businesses, we're about, hey, remove yourself, get the right people to do the work, get up to that founder status, whatever that might look like. But at the same time, you've had to do everything, especially that first venture. Like you said, my first business. I mean, I shoveled 35 tons of granite in one day, in a wheelbarrow and wheel to the backyard,
Wow.
to do that. Like because the guy paid me $1,000. I was making $5 an hour doing the same thing at a regular job. You know what I mean? Like I will shovel this rock every day, all day for $1,000 a day. I did the same thing yesterday for $40. Okay, so this is a good gig. I'm gonna be the greatest rock shoveler in the world. So but you just did it, right? Then you built from there, and you keep going. So sometimes it's good to not know. I call it ignorance on fire.
Yeah.
I love ignorance on fire. I'm gonna do this, whatever it takes.
That
Just like
sounds like a
run.
great podcast name. You should do that.
It should. Maybe that's the next one. I'll be my third one. Ignorance on fire. Let's go. Yeah, the startups, the startups launch pad. Ignorance on fire. I like it. And it's working. Look at that. Look what we did. But yeah, no, you're right. I just love the journey. I love yours. I love what you've done with this podcast. I'm really gonna follow and see how this thing pans out. I'll check it out because I get a lot of people that ask me about podcasts. And I you want to encourage them to do it, but at the same time, you're like, okay, well, everyone gets encouraged, but they don't. I didn't know this platform existed
Yeah,
that you've
we're brand
created.
new. We've just
I
started
know.
marketing it. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, because now I could go there. This is where
Yeah.
you start. Okay, you want to again. I'm always about the highest probability of success. How do you do that? And that's things like that. You can come because some people have the gift to do podcasting. They're great interviewers, or guests, whatever it is, but they don't have the tools. you
Yeah.
know and when you like you said when I we started in 2013, did when I owned a gym and want to do a fitness one. 2013, technically it was so difficult. There's a couple of
Yeah.
us and you got to have, and then I'm like it just was not going to happen. I'm just like I'm not doing this is way too much work, man. So it's come so far, and that's kind of 12 years now. But to see how far it's come as I've watched all this, as I got into it in 2019, 2020, started doing things again, that was like, and just watching over this last 5 years. And I think what you brought to the market now is the big game changer.
Yeah.
I think
And it's where it's going is really exciting
that's what I'm
too.
saying. Yeah.
Like we have a new tool we just rolled out and it's called the repurposer. And after you record your episode, you can hit a button and it takes your one episode and turns it into like 20 different pieces of content
There
for
you
you.
go. There you go.
And it's really good right now, but give it like 3 or 4 months with what we're adding to it. And it's just unreal. Like I bet it saves you 4 hours an episode at least, just
Oh
that
yeah.
one tool.
Oh, I'm telling you, like that. And from a growth and take it, well, let's take it back to your 100 Facebook pages. A repurposer like that,
Mhm.
I mean, it's shotgun. It's
Yeah.
shotgun, man.
And
It's
then you click
awesome.
one button and it syndicates it out to every
Boom.
place.
It's
Like,
on every platform.
yeah.
No, it's like, yeah, I love that kind of stuff. That is what makes ease of that's DIY stuff, man.
And
That's
there's
awesome.
more coming. Like this
Yeah.
is just the beginning. If
Right.
you looked at our roadmap and all the things, it where it's come over the last 5 years is ridiculous. Where it's going over the next 5 years is going to be even more so.
Yeah, isn't it? What is it? So just like in mine, like I started, I did a book, I wrote a book, and then said, oh, I'll build a little 90-day program around it. This thing has grown into a full ecosystem, 20 years. I mean, it's unbelievable. So it's just one of those testaments where you have to get started and then keep going. And like you said, all the iterations, mine, they get better and better and better. All of a sudden you start seeing more. You start seeing the potential like you've done. Like you had the done for you. Now you do the do it yourself. But now look at the evolution. Like you're talking about, and you're talking in months.
Yeah.
You're talking in
And
3 months. It's just like, that's nuts.
we're within 60 days of launching the done with you version. So the coaching version where someone
Oh,
holds your
man. There
hand
you
through the
go.
process.
Oh, that's the killer, dude.
Yeah.
That's a killer.
It's
Oh, that's
almost
gonna.
there.
Oh, people are gonna be signing up for that like nuts. That's gonna
Yeah.
be great, man. Good for you. I love it. I mean, and here's a great business takeaway too. Like you need to, and I mean this in a completely positive way. You need to exploit every avenue in your business. You've got to monetize it. What can we do that's all linked? It's all spokes on the hub, right? But you have to start seeing things like this. You can't ignore that until this is perfect and that. Like you're almost getting these
That's
things
right.
coming out parallel. It's important to, and again, this as you develop it, to me, you start seeing this capability, just like my CYC, that coefficient I created. I'm like, that was way down the road. So hey, what about what? And I started doing the math and making all this stuff. I'm like, this could be amazing. It's long term, but it's something I can work on now because I'm collecting the data. So it's really cool. But just like you're doing, and when you say like wait for 3 months, I'm like, oh, I can wait for 3 months. That's like tomorrow. 3 months is
Yeah.
like tomorrow. It's
Yeah.
nothing. It used to be 3 years, So it's that's fascinating, man. I love it. I love that you're really exploring these avenues of reach. Okay,
Yeah.
because you're serving at multiple levels inside your business. That's a critical thing. You can't be a one-trick pony ever. You have to serve multiple people in the kind of the same realm.
Because the different customers are at different places in their journey,
That's it.
right? And you won't be able to serve all of your customers if you
Right.
only have that one trick.
Yeah, that's so powerful, man. And another great takeaway from any business. Like we have to think this way. I had a construction business, right? So we did roofing, siding, windows, and all that. And guys who do a roof, it's okay, see you in 30 years. I'm like, what are you talking about? That literally was how they thought. Like they're not going to come back next time they need a roof. I'm like, they have siding, they have windows, and like hailstorms. Like these are customers. They have lifetime profitable value. These people are worth like 100 grand to me. They've only spent 15 or 20 so far. Okay. I'm going to engage with them. I'm going to stay front of mind. How do I build that? Who do they know? And you can't just do that one thing. We have exterior. Now we have windows and siding and gutters, and I've got all that stuff, right? So you have to like look at even something as simple as that. Like, yeah, I got the 20,000. Now, just like you got the first subscription. Okay, maybe it's the DIY. And then they start doing that and go, you know what? Now they got it done with you. I'm going to move right over to there. What a simple, it's just a little upgrade or whatever, right? And now they're running there. Now they're seeing even more improvements. They got the basics to go to there, and then they might even get at the end be done for you. They might start saying, just do it all for me. So they got all these different directions to go in your business, which is options. Got to give people options. They like options.
Yeah.
That's great stuff. That is great stuff. So we kind of got the near future. What do you, let me ask you this question because I get this often when we're developing a business or we have more other people have them. Do you have an exit strategy in mind? You've done multiple businesses already and ventures in this. Have you put any kind of goalpost up? Like what is
So
done?
so I've built and sold three already, and that's my MO. I'm the creator, right?
Right.
And so I'll build this thing. We'll probably grow it to $100 million a year of revenue, and sell it for $1 billion. That's probably a goalpost. But who knows if something else comes up before then, and we'll listen to any good offer and evaluate any good offer. But that's what we're working for internally is a $1 billion exit through
Excellent.
acquisition.
Excellent. Okay. And the reason I ask is because so many people they don't have that when they start. They don't have an exit strategy of any kind.
Yeah.
They just go. And I get it, ignorance on fire. Okay. But that hamster wheel never moves. A lot of people start with that and they do a lot of work their first 2 years. And then, as I always say, then 10 years goes by and they've repeated the first 2 years 5 times. There is no exit. There's no potential for exit because they haven't been able to truly grow and scale this business and make it attractive, self-running and everything else that someone else actually want to purchase, for more than
Yeah.
their depreciating assets they have. So, it's a hard thing. So it's always a good question. I always like to kind of tap into people who are doing the bigger things. Like it doesn't matter the size of your business. If we all built it that way, the proverbial built to sell, you systemize, make processes, it's bringing great value. You've got potential for increase, that's attractive to someone at some time, and I always tell
Yeah.
people too, if you've been around long enough, you've seen the economy do all kinds of crazy things. And sometimes you're going to be forced to sell when you don't want to,
Yeah.
and if you have a really poorly run, built business, you're getting nothing. You're just going to close the door. But if you're building towards an exit and now you're forced to exit early, you're still going to get something,
Yeah. And the important thing to remember on that is like I had a friend who he built his first business, and I think they may have only sold it for $10 million or $15 million or something like that. But then he built $1 billion business
Right.
because he had the success from that $10 million venture, and he had the money to, he could reinvest and create the new venture. He was able to go create something much bigger. And so realize that your first venture isn't necessarily your last venture,
Right.
right? It's your springboard into your next one.
I think, and I use this as an example, I think there's also a part of it that, let's say someone's making $30,000 a year during their job. And I come in off from, hey man, I got this opportunity to get in this. You're going to make 200 grand a year. Okay. And they're going to look at me and like, there's no way they're going to believe that. They can't comprehend, a 7X, a 10X, kind of like increase because they've never done that before. Right.
Yeah.
So that kind of money is like, wow, I'd have to work like 10 years just to make that 1 year. Okay. So you can't. So I started learning with people like you got to start them out really small. Like, but just like you said with that, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a $10 million exit. Okay. But the point being, like, it's hard to see 100 million or $1 billion exit when you haven't even done the 10 million.
That's right. That's right.
You know,
And
you,
if you
you
have that 10 million, you can create a venture and get quite a lot further down the path without having to take any money from anybody else. So
exactly.
you don't have to give up all the equity right from the beginning.
Right. Right. It changes your mindset.
Mhm.
It's possibility. Like when I started my thing out, it was the book, it was the 90 day, like I said. And then I stopped and I go, I am not thinking big enough.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, I just put the brakes on and said, I need to be like, that's when I created the movement. I said, there's like 50,000 plus manufacturing and the US alone that can be my clients in as my ICP. I'm like, I am not thinking big enough. Okay, I'm gonna change the industry. So that whole thing then springboarded me into the next thing, But sometimes you have to convince yourself, like, what are you actually doing? Is this big enough? Did you ever go through that, Nathan? Like, you get to that point, like where you're at now. I mean, it's been 6 years, and like, did you have to kind of stop and go, wait, what are we actually doing? Because you saw things evolving.
Yeah. I had another venture where we just hit the ceiling. We became number one in the industry, and there just wasn't room
Right, right.
for much room for growth. And so, yeah, we had to think bigger. There comes that point you've got to make sure that the hill you try to climb is big enough so that when you get to the top of the hill, you're satisfied with that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, exactly. It's a weird. I know a lot of people like that's an odd way of thinking, but I think you really have to. I mean, and there's guys who are content. I get contentment and everything else, and everyone's got their levels and their ceilings and their contentment. This is how much is enough and all that kind of stuff. But I think for me, thinking big or thinking small takes the same effort. I really think it does. I mean, it's just like, so why not do the big? I mean, again,
That's right.
I get it's not for everyone, but like when there's potential if I want to change an industry, if I want to bring something to help others, because you're helping other people, right? Most products
Yeah.
do in one way or another. This podcasting thing, because there's so much failure in podcasting, right? Think about that. Think how much and I'm just using the word failure. They started with 3 and they quit we've already
Yeah.
talked about the reasons why.
Most of them fail. Yeah.
Most of them, right? Like I said, you got 21 episodes and you're in the top 1%. Okay. That doesn't make me feel good anymore. Okay. So I'm like, oh, that's it. Okay. Wow. I did that in the first 2 weeks. Okay. But I'm just saying that when you find a way to elevate people and bring them back into the game, when this gets around, they're going to re-enter. So you think about all these people who quit at 3 or 8 or whatever the number is. When you get out to this market, they're going to come back.
So that's actually what we found. When we did those 1,000 different ad tests, we found that our customer for the DIY was existing creators, people that have already created channels and they're looking to now get help to grow it and monetize it and take it to the next level.
Right.
So
right.
yes, that's exactly what we found.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. See, I'm not so dumb.
But you wouldn't have needed to do the testing. You could have just known.
Yeah, right. Sure. Yeah, I'd be broken, divorced. Okay. But no, I love it. I see that, right? Like you can see this thing when you get a pool, because I mean, you know why I do podcasting? Because I like it. I get to meet the coolest people ever. I mean, it's unbelievable the access to people like you. I mean, it just goes on. Everything from Navy SEALs to NBA coaches to, the creator of Hydro Flask. I mean, just pick someone. They're talking to me. I'm like, me. I'm just the guy. But you have to be NBC 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Do this and you get these collaborations, you get this insight, and you're able to bring this stuff to others. I'm not, and it's just fascinating to me. I do it and don't get paid. That's how much I like it. I don't need to. It's great to be sponsored and do all the cool stuff, and it's been really, really fruitful for me. But bringing people stuff like you, bringing this, and giving my 3 listeners a chance to about this, but it really is a fascinating thing, and I think when people have an opportunity to actually grow it without the unbearable effort, you're going to see a big influx, people coming back to podcasting. Now, instead of 1 million out of 5 or 6 million, it's going to get to 2.5 million now. It's going to be 3 million people who have more than 21. It won't be easy to be the 1%. That's what you're going to do. You're going to actually make it hard to be in the top 1%. Just by what you bring to the market. That's awesome. That is awesome. I love it. Nathan, this has been a lot of fun.
Thank you for letting me be on today. And thanks for being willing to let me talk about my podcasting software and services.
Dude, it's so cool. This is what we're about, right? This is a business. This is a business podcast. Anyway, it's cool that you're doing this thing for podcasting, that's like a double bonus for me. We
Yeah.
get to, we're both can geek out on podcasting and software and all that stuff. I think it's awesome. And I know the listeners are getting a lot from this too. Okay. So let's talk about, how do they get this? How do they get in touch? How do they get your DIY stuff? What do we got going on? Help them out.
Yeah. So if they want the software, if they want to do it themselves, they can go to podup.com. That's PODUP.com. They can get a free 30-day trial of the software, and they can get a free 30-day podcast launch course that takes them step by step through the process with education and the instruction, the help that they need. We also will even help them launch their podcast website for free. Our team will get in and help make sure they can get it up and going. And then if they want help, if they know they need a podcast, but they don't have time, they want someone to do it for them, they can go to podallies.com. That's PODALLIES.com. And they can schedule a free podcast strategy call with me, and I'll get on. We'll help them figure a customized plan to help them grow and monetize their podcast. We'll also give them a free monetization strategy guide, a video training that we did, and a free podcast growth strategy training that we did. Give them a whole bunch of tools to help them really create a venture around a podcast.
That is awesome. Because I know, like you said in the beginning, a lot of business owners see the need for this. Because we've all like delivered content. They do a video or they show someone, whatever, fixing a toilet or whatever they're doing. But this is the different level, and it is an incredible authority builder. I will tell you.
Absolutely.
For my own thing, when I tell people I've done 300 podcasts, I've been on 250 as a guest, that's kind of like, dang, that's a lot. I go, well,
you're a thought leader at that point. Yeah, you're exactly. An influencer.
I mean, so it's pretty cool. But they don't have to get to that, but like that ability just to build the credit, just like writing books. I've written 2 books, bestsellers. I got, like, you just do this stuff, and it's not as hard as it used to be, especially with self-publishing, right?
Yeah.
Way back when I was a kid, I wanted to write a book, and I would try, like, forget about it. Never happened, right? I'm not that they want some 10-year-old writing a book, but it was publishing houses, and you couldn't even get an article printed in a newspaper. Yeah. That was like something huge. Today, it's between the blogosphere and self-publishing. I mean, you can do anything, right? Yeah. So, and guys like you bringing these tools to make that capable, that's what it's all about. Like, now people can do what they've kind of always wanted to. They always say 82% of people want to write a book, and only 2% do.
Wow. Okay. I've never heard that, but that is sounds right.
Crazy, right? Like, write your stupid book. It's not that hard. The tools are out there, man. Get to it. I got friends who do that. I mean, incredible stories. I'm like, you need this in a book. Like, you have a life. Dude, you're at that point now, man. It's time. Like, let's get this done. So I give them crap every day. How far are you? What chapter are you on? How many words? What do you got? I go, why am I not seeing this thing finished? No, but it's fun. But the tools are there, and you're one of the guys bringing them. So this has been awesome. So, Nathan, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it. This has been a fantastic conversation.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the conversation, and thanks for letting me be on.
My pleasure. And for everybody else, we'll see you on the next STS podcast. Thanks for joining me on the Sharpen the Spear podcast. If you're a manufacturing executive and you're serious about unlocking hidden profit, improving frontline leadership, and taking control of your floor, go to grit2lead.com right now. Run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator and discover your biggest opportunities are hiding. Don't leave millions on the table. Sharpen your spear, lead from the front, and win the floor. Until next time, stay sharp.